You've probably seen someone getting IV fluid. You may have even had this yourself. And while you might think this is the solution to dehydration, you might be wrong. I'm Dr. Adam Goodcoff, and welcome to Your Health Explained. IV fluids are a mainstay of TV and real-world medicine alike. Patients often accept them without question, but what's really flowing directly into your veins? You might be surprised to hear that IV fluid is actually saline, essentially salt water. While drinking salt water could make you very sick, placing this salty solution in your veins actually works. Well, actually, if it works or not is something we're going to talk about, but for now, we need to understand why it is that we do this. And to do that, we need to take a trip back to high school. Oh gosh, not that part of high school. I'm talking about your high school science classes. You may have done an experiment at one point in time where you put something like a gummy into water. If you remember, the gummy, after just an hour or two, that poor little bear had doubled in size. With lots of sugar inside the gummy bear and little water, the water is pulled into the gummy bear, diluting the sugar while doubling its size. The idea of a chemical gradient, or difference in concentrations, is one of the bases of IV fluid. You see, our body is made up largely of water. Largely, however, is not entirely. There are, in fact, many other ions and chemicals floating through your body each day. Minerals like sodium, calcium, chloride, potassium, and so forth. These are essential for cell function and your overall health. In a healthy person, you can expect between 135 to 145 milliequivalents per liter of sodium. You have salt floating in your body at all times. 25% of the fluid that we give in an IV stays within the vein, providing hydration to organs like the kidneys and the heart. In fact, out of a whole liter, only a measly 250 cc's is saved inside of that vein. The rest, essentially wasted in the intravascular peripheral space. Oh, and wait until you hear about the cost of that IV bag. But we'll get there. What if I told you the body had its own water absorption system? We eat food and water at our meals together. Yet we don't pee out our steak unless it's that burger meat you left out on the counter. The answer comes from the colon. This large digestive organ is an amazing water management system and extracts water from our diet. The colon is so good at absorbing water that over 90% of water is pulled out of the gut by the end of its transit in the colon. It's why we generally have formed stool and free-flowing urine. Now that we understand that the colon pulls water in from our diet, we can see that the body is also hydrated by drinking fluids and foods that have a high water content. Many argue that the same, if not a higher, percent of water is retained when you take oral liquid compared to IV, or parenteral, as we call it in medicine. In fact, the CDC recommends oral rehydration solution, a combination of salts and electrolytes added to 1 liter of water, over the use of IV fluid for the treatment of cholera in pediatric patients. Why cholera, and what does this have to do with anything? Well, it's a major killer worldwide, and one of the reasons is the severe dehydration that it causes from diarrhea. Many of the areas where cholera is prevalent, there is limited access to IV fluids. Oh, and remember that cost I mentioned? IV fluid is not cheap. It is actually considered a medication, and as I'm sure you know, the drug industry can be, well, just take a look at what happened with EpiPen, or the cost of insulin, a drug that some patients quite literally need to survive. To purchase 0.9% normal saline without some large bundled discount, you could be paying anywhere from $150 to $300 per liter. The cost off of your water bill to drink 1 liter of water? Probably less than 1 cent. Now that I've brought you to the dark side of IV fluids, you may be wondering why they even exist. That reason is simple. There are many instances in medicine where patients cannot drink anything. Think of someone in the ICU with a breathing tube. They're losing water with respirations each day, on the number of liters, just by breathing. Or think of the pregnant woman who has non-stop vomiting and physically cannot keep any water down. Or the patient going to surgery for a ruptured appendix who's not allowed to eat or drink before anesthesia. These are just a few of the many circumstances where we do need IV fluids. As with many areas of medicine, you have to make the right decision on a case-by-case basis. That said, next time you feel dehydrated or even hungover, that IV service may not be your best bet, and it certainly won't be the cheapest. Before you go, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what other topics you would like to learn about your health. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Adam Goodcoff.